South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
Touchdown!
Sixers,
It's good!
and Flyers.
Oh, big save by Carter Hart.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Friday edition of Game Night. We are counting down to the debut of James Harden. Yes, the former league MVP is now joining this year's MVP in Philadelphia officially tonight on a basketball court, and you can hear it right here on 97.3 ESPN FM, your home for Sixers basketball here in South Jersey. We'll also get in touch with the NFL draft. The draft combine starts next week. We'll be talking with Emory Hunt from CBS Sports HQ. Will be joining us coming up at 6:20. We'll talk with him about the draft combine, the draft, and all that goes with it, the NFL offseason. As always, you can join the conversation. You can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, or you can text in at 609-403-0973. That's 609-403-0973. Before we get to the football stuff, we got to get to the James Harden Sixers stuff because, the Sixers have a really good position right now in the standings. And when you look at the addition of James Harden, you only add James Harden if you believe you can win a championship. And I think the Sixers realize that the way Embiid is playing, Harden's age, combine that with an Eastern Conference that is completely open for business, the Sixers have as good a chance as anybody in the East to win. It's just a matter of, can Embiid and Harden mesh enough to be unstoppable? I don't think that it's going to take 20, 30 games for Harden and Embiid to figure this out. I don't feel like this is LeBron having to join D Wade and figure things out in Miami. But I do think that people need to be patient. This is not going to happen overnight. They're not going to be 100% on the same page day one, minute one at all. To me, I think this comes down to, it's going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of figuring things out in real time for them to get it right. And I ask everyone out there, be patient. Be patient with Harden and all these guys. I think that one of the problems we are having as a society is that we have become so impatient with things. We want our mac and cheese in 20 seconds or less, a minute or less. We want our delivery, app to work in 20 seconds. We want our DoorDash to show up 10 minutes faster than it's going to. People are just so ridiculously impatient that I just ask everyone to not overreact off of what happens this weekend. Sixers play tonight at 8. Sixers play Sunday at 1. No matter what the win-loss outcome is, don't read too much into it. Don't overthink the situation because, let's be realistic, there are some of you out there who are incredibly irrational. And that is not an understatement. I've seen the chatter online for years now. I've seen how people have turned social media into a cesspool of vomit, and it has become a massive infection and a cancer to all of sports talk. I still love talking sports with people. I don't like talking sports with Neanderthals. And when it comes to tonight's game, there's nothing that will happen tonight that will make me say, because of this thing, they're going to win or they're going to lose. I'm not going to be that guy. And I ask you guys not be that person either. Now, if you're going to be that person, then have fun with that. But you can't have an intelligent conversation with an irrational individual. What's that saying? A wise man giving wisdom to a fool is like, feeding swine, basically. That was the proverb. I'm sure I'm butchering that proverb. But the point is that you can't argue with ridiculousness. And I'm not going to sit here and entertain this idea that tonight is going to tell us everything we need to know. What I am going to say, that you have a situation where Harden and Embiid are going to need time to get used to playing together. Harden's going to need time to get used to playing with everyone else around him. I know it's bothered some Sixer fans what Harden has said about Tobias Harris, talking how complimentary he is. Harden seems to be very happy to play here. And I think that'll help the adjustment period. It's not going to guarantee that it's going to be smooth all the time, but it'll certainly help the adjustment. It'll make the situation a little bit more tenable. I think the one thing you can watch out for very clearly tonight, I'll say that I am curious to see how much of the ball handling is Harden and how much of the ball handling is Tyrese Maxey. Harden has a history of being willing to defer. When he played with Chris Paul, Paul functioned more like the point guard than Harden did. But they ran an offense like most of the NBA does. That's a dual ball handler system. The majority of the NBA are dual ball handlers. The Warriors have Curry and Green. The Sixers now have Harden and Maxey. You go to the Suns. There's plenty of plays where Paul is running screens off of Devin Booker being a ball handler crossing the midcourt line. Doncic is not always handling the ball crossing the midcourt line. Look at Chicago. Between Levine, Ball, and DeRozan and Caruso, they all take turns ball handling. So the best teams in the league are ball handling as a collective. They're not ball handling as an individual. So to me, I think that it'll be interesting to see how that system plays out in Philadelphia. Before the Seth Curry trade, Curry was the de facto second ball handler. Now, with Harden coming into the lineup, Harden and Maxey, how do they balance the ball handling? I'm curious to see how that plays out. The other thing I want to see happen is, does Joel Embiid get a lot of isolation opportunities? One of the things that drove me nuts this season were the games, late in the first half, late in the fourth quarter, and you're looking at Embiid and everyone does the Allen Iverson thing to him. He's just standing there by himself, having to figure out how to work around the defense. I watched the Allen Iverson thing for 8 years and I hated it. Hated it. I don't understand why when one guy gets the ball and they say clear out, everyone just stands still. It's the stupidest thing in the world to me. I understand that that's how some of these isolation concepts work. But to me, it's absolutely ridiculous. You got to keep moving on the other side of the court. You don't just stand there and wait for the one player to do something. Do you ever watch the Warriors? When Steph is there doing his thing in ISO, everyone isn't just standing still and watching. They're still out there setting screens for each other, moving around the court, doing back cuts. They're moving. They're being active. I'm hoping that the addition of Harden stops the standstillness of the Sixers offense late in games, late in halves. If Embiid gets the ball late in half, late in the fourth quarter, I want to see guys moving. I want to see guys setting screens. I want to see guys working back to him to set a screen or a pick or to just create movement around him. Now, I'm not guaranteeing Harden's going to be the guy to do that, but I'm curious to see Does everybody stand still in ISO situations, or do they start moving around, being active? A lot to keep an eye on. And of course, you can hear all the action tonight at 8 o'clock right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app for all your Sixers coverage. Tom McGinnis on the call on your radio here on your home for the Sixers, Eagles, Flyers, Super Bowl 56, NCAA tournament, and more. 97.3 ESPN. As always, you can join the conversation, DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. Also, you can text in at 609-403-0973. By the way, shout out to the texter. Give me a little assist. Don't cast your pearls to swine was the proverb. Yes, thank you. I have no interest in arguing some craziness with people. I'll have a conversation with somebody. If somebody wants to text in and tell me what they think about Harden or Embiid or Maxey or Harris, that's fine. But some of the stuff I see on social media, it is totally just corrupted our ability to have conversations with each other anymore. I mean, people have become such just Neanderthals when it comes to communication skills and socialization. It's ridiculous. I'm not wasting my time on that. But I will have a conversation with you about it if you want to join the conversation. As always, 609-403-0973. You can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. Shout out to the texter who texted in, helping me with the proverb. The proverb is, don't cast your pearls to swine. That was the idea of, what it's like for a wise man to try to speak wisdom to a foolish man. That was the ism over there in Proverbs. We're going to be talking with Emory Hunt as well tonight on the show about the NFL draft. And with the Combine next week, obviously the Combine is a multi-layered setup. For television purposes, it's mostly built on the idea of these guys going out there and performing in these drills. But the most important thing is the meetings with the teams, the interview sessions, the medicals. And we'll ask Emory his perspective on the Combine, as well as we are now, I believe it's 9 weeks from the draft. I'm going to think about my math correctly. And as we get closer to the draft, we're getting more clarity about who will be picked where in the first round. But as of right now, I know who I think the Eagles should take. But will the Eagles actually do it? The Eagles are notorious for having their own system, their own rationalization for things. And when you think about what we've seen with the Sixers are giving the city and the region so much juice that the NFL actually is getting a little bit of a second fiddle going on. They're not in the driver's seat right now because they're not in season. And they're not in the news headlines right now because the NBA is coming out of their All-Star break. But there's a lot to ask Emory Hunt about when it comes to the NFL offseason, the NFL draft, the Eagles, and more as we head down the stretch, because there's a lot to figure out when it comes to where these quarterbacks are going. Where should they go? All this malcontent stuff with Kyler Murray, I don't know what is going on with him. Apparently, he's got a ton of maturity issues. There's a lot to work through this offseason between the quarterbacks, free agency, the draft, and we'll get into all of it coming up with Emory Hunt from Football Game Plan and CBS Sports HQ right here on 97.3 ESPN. Game Night being brought to you by Jenkins. Call Jenkins and Sons for heating and air conditioning installation, service and maintenance, plumbing, or drain cleaning services. Give them a call at 609-641-6262 or visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. We'll get to more of your text messages and thoughts a little bit later in the show. Of course, you can always join the conversation at 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. And don't forget, 6:50 tonight, we will announce the South Jersey High School Athlete of the Week. You've been voting all week long. We have a ton of votes this week. It was a 2-horse race throughout the week, but we do have a winner, and we will announce it coming up tonight at 6:50, as we do each week. The South Jersey High School Athlete of the Week at 973ESPN.com and 973 ESPN mobile app. This is Game Night. I'm Josh Hennig, hanging out with you till 7.
It's Sixers basketball tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Here's Embiid, turns, fades, fires, good, and a foul. That's incredible. Whoa, what a play by Embiid.
The Sixers are in Minnesota to face the T-Wolves. Coverage begins at 8 p.m. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, big guy. Simple credibility approval.
Listen, big guy, try this. Give them more cash for their clunker. That was my idea.
It's a President's Day sale all month. 0 down, 0.9% financing, 0 payments for 90 days, or $1,000 cash back. At Matt Blatt Kia, you could have it all. Plus, we want to get you out of that old car you hate. Come in today or visit us online and get the credit you deserve. 0.9% APR financing available for up to 60 months on new 2022 Kia Stinger, or get $1,000 cash back. Plus, Matt Blatt Kia in Toms River and Egg Harbor Township wants your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
Gotta be a Matt Black kid.
Offers with Troop Tier 1 or 2 credit or Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on 1516 for 1,000 borrowed. 1,000 off all 22 Stingers. Go to mattblackkia.nj.com for complete details. Expires 3/4/2022. Matt Black Kia, 6211 on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Hey, y'all, this is your girl, Cheryl Underwood, and I want to tell you something. My digestive system used to make me feel sluggish, but those days are over. Now I feel great. That's because I increased my fiber intake with the Metamucil 2-week challenge, and I'm still hooked. I just took Metamucil every day for 14 days, and it's really that easy. Metamucil traps and removes the waste that weighs you down, so you feel lighter and more energetic. Now I never want to go back to that heavy feeling. Are you ready for the Metamucil 2-week challenge? For a coupon and daily support, sign up at Metamucil.com today.
O'Reilly. Improve visibility and save money at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Replace your old wiper blades with a new pair of Rain-X Advantage wiper blades and save $10 now at O'Reilly. Our professional parts people will even install them for free. See better and drive safer with new wiper blades from O'Reilly Auto Parts, in-store or online at O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Do you have cold or drafty spots that make your home uncomfortable? Problems with comfort issues in your home aren't just going to go away. Now is the time to call Jenkins Plumbing and Heating about a new system from American Standard Heating and Air Conditioning, or a high-efficiency broiler from Bosch. Calling now will save you money, reduce energy costs, and increase the comfort, safety, and durability of your home with attractive rebates of up to $2,300 from your local utilities. And to make your new system even more affordable, get up to 0% financing for up to $15,000 for 7 years. Don't end up with a heating failure during the coldest time of the year. It's time to call Jenkins and ask about American Standard or Bosch. Call 609-641-6262. Online at jenkinsandsons.com.
Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you. Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you. Jenkins Plumbing and Heating. We're always here for you. Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? So you've got an oil change coming up. We can help you save on the right oil for your vehicle. Right now, get 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic or Castrol Edge Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil with an STP Extended Life Oil Filter for just $35.99. Visit one of our 6,000 stores or order from AutoZone.com for same-day store pickup or next-day delivery.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hoops are happening, and college basketball's biggest stage is right around the corner on PropSwap. Every season, PropSwappers make thousands of dollars by simply buying and selling college basketball teams. Now is the time to find those Cinderellas while the odds are high. So get to your sportsbook, buy a handful of tickets, and list them on PropSwap. Remember, only one team needs to make a run, and that ticket will pay for the rest. Dark horses happen every year. So download the free PropSwap app today. PropSwap, where America buys and sells sports bets.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here, Game Night being brought to you by AC Airport. Cold weather got you down. Forget the snow boots and pack your swimsuit. Atlantic City International Airport offers nonstop flights to Cancun. Book your flight today at spirit.com. Josh Hennig hanging out with you in the Matt Black Kia studios here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. We will be joined by Emory Hunt from CBS Sports HQ in just a moment here on 97.3 ESPN. This is going to be an interesting offseason. You know, I asked this question to Mike Clay yesterday, and I'll repurpose it for Emory today about the Rams. You know, the Rams are the latest example of a team finding a way to win, right? They're the latest example of a team that went out there and said, this is how we are going to try to win a championship. And I don't know if anyone actually can replicate it or not, but I know someone's going to try to. It really feels like the current wave is teams want to find a guy, and we've now seen this for 2 straight Super Bowls. They want to find a veteran quarterback who can elevate them because that franchise themselves has been unable to find a quarterback. So we'll talk more about that now. Emory Hunt, you can follow him on Twitter at FBallGamePlan. CBS Sports HQ is where you can catch him at as well. And he joins us right now here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Emory, my friend, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Josh. I appreciate you bringing me on.
I appreciate you joining. And let's start where I was talking before you came on. I'm curious to know your perspective on this because we've now seen 2 straight teams win Super Bowls with quarterbacks who they basically brought in because that franchise themselves was unable to develop a high-level quarterback. So is that the new trend you think moving forward? Teams are going to try to, say, how can we replicate the Rams? Or do you feel like the Rams and the Bucs are so unique that teams really can't replicate that?
Yeah, I think it's so unique. First of all, you had Tom Brady on a team that was loaded with superstars. And he really played his best in the postseason, to be honest, that year. So they got there because the defense was dominant. Brady, was able to fight through some adversity because he had such a great defense and ultimately got a Super Bowl. And we look at the Rams. Was Matt Stafford really? I mean, he led the league in interceptions. And was he really a difference maker in that Super Bowl? No. It's the fact that they had Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, all these stars around the roster. Odell Beckham got in the end zone. And if Jaquiski Tartt catches that interception, in the NFC Championship game, we're talking about a Bengals 49ers Super Bowl. So I just think that teams, if anything, what they should take away from both the last 2 champions, we got to make the team great. The team is great. We got a great chance of getting to the Super Bowl. The Bucs had stars across the board. The Rams have stars across the board. That's how you do it. So whichever team's out there trying to replicate the team that just won, stack up on talent.
Well, it's interesting you said that because that kind of feeds into what I've been saying. And my opinion is, and you and I have had a lot of conversations about Jalen Hurts in the last year. And to me, unless you can get a guy like let's say Russell Wilson, to me, Jalen Hurts is an NFL starting quarterback, but you got to build around him. You got to give him another receiver. I prefer personally a veteran receiver. They need more help on defense. They got 3 of their 4 starters are all free agents. Darius Slay isn't getting any younger. So to me, I keep telling Eagle fans, don't worry about the quarterback. Worry about the rest of the roster.
Yeah, Eagle fans need to just chill out and realize you got a quarterback that you can win with. And the reason why you didn't get a higher seed in the playoffs because your defense stunk. Defense started coming along till late, and only started coming along when the Eagles decided to turn and run the football, which is why your quarterback was also having success because he's a part of the run game as well. They have to find better players on defense. They got to find another pass rusher. They got to find corners. They got to get linebackers, guys that can make plays. It felt like at times the Eagles were out there with just 9 players on defense, because there was no linebackers to be found. So they have to get better on defense. Defense. If they get better on defense with their ability to run the football, you can win games with run game and defense. And you can build around, Jalen Hurts with other skill players. I know people want to take a wide receiver in the first round, man. Those first round picks for Philly should all go to premier players on defense. Build up that defense, make that defense great, add pieces. Jalen Hurts showed you last year. You can win without not everything being great on offense. So imagine if you continue to be great or add things on offense after you get that defense right. Think about the Chargers game. Jalen Hurts leads them down to a score, which looked to be the game-winning score against the Chargers. But what happened? The defense got back on the field. Chargers marched down and get the game-winning field goal. So that tells you what the issue is for Philly. But fans just don't want to see it. They ultimately want a new shiny new toy at quarterback, as if that's the right thing to do. But you trade all those assets for a Russell Wilson. Now you have no draft picks and no defense still, and a quarterback that's on a offense that isn't very talented. So why would you make that move when you could get your defense great? You have a quarterback that can win with what he had, and you'll be adding more veteran pieces throughout the rest of the draft, and rookies in the rest of the draft, and veteran pieces throughout free agency to help bolster the offense. But in the first round, 3 first-round picks, 3 of the top 32, nail defensive picks. And there's a bunch of great defensive players in this draft.
We know the Eagles have a long history of going in the trenches. They love drafting those D linemen and those O linemen. You mentioned defense. Who are some D linemen that we need to keep an eye on over the next 9 weeks as we get closer to the draft?
Well, I'm still grading defensive players, but just off the top of my head, you think about Jermaine Johnson out of Florida State. Hopefully, if you're an Eagles fan, he's still down there with your first of 3 first-round picks. And you look at Ojabo from Michigan. He's a traits guy, but he brings that it off the corner. If you look at those D linemen in terms of pass rush, that's what you want. Corners, obviously, you look at Sauce Gardner, Roger McQuarrie, Stingley if he falls for whatever reason. There's an assortment of players the Eagles can get that are impact players. I know the Eagles don't draft linebackers in the first round, but Nakobe Dean would be a great one to take. Help stabilize that second level. They can literally go D-line, linebacker, and corner with those 3 first-round picks and come out on top.
Emory Hunt joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN at FBall Game Plan on Twitter. Also, over at the Football Game Plan YouTube channel. He has all kinds of great coverage from last week down at the HBCU Bowl. How was that? Yeah, that was the first time they've done that, right?
Yeah, it was great. I just wish they would play it. They played that game in January, because you're in the middle of February. It throws everything off from a scouting perspective, and you want to get maximum opportunity for those guys in that game who are great to probably go to other bowl games to get call-ups. So if you're in February by yourself, it's hard for them to do that. And with the combine being 2 weeks away, it made a tough, thing for scouts to figure out. The people are trying to get ready for the combine, and they have this all-star game sandwiched in the middle. But outside of that minor detail, the game and prospects out there were fantastic.
Was there a guy who impressed you? Because I'm watching some of those interviews, and I'm just like, how can I, if I'm a GM, how can I not draft some of these guys just based on the conversations with you, Emory? So was there a guy who, you can filter through a lot then and say, listen, if this guy gets into an NFL room, this guy gets a workout with a team, I'm telling you, these guys going to be on an NFL team.
Yeah, you look at the entire D line. Deshaun Dixon was at the NFL, was at the Shrine Game, and then was also doing well at the HBCU Legacy Bowl. His teammate, Chris Myers, another one at 6'5", 260. So you had 2 NFL DNs at Norfolk State this year. You also look at Keyshawn James out of Fayetteville State, had 23.5, I believe, TFLs last year for Fayetteville State. he was virtually unblockable this week at the HBCU Legacy Bowl. And, Jeremiah Kane out of Mississippi Valley was another one that is quick interior defensive lineman. So if you get these guys later in the draft, kind of like they did with someone like Josh Sweat, they got him in the 4th round, I believe. But you can get some guys late in the draft that can really help your team out. This is going to be a fun class to see how it all shakes out.
Emory, speaking of next week, you mentioned the draft combine. I've been trying to explain to people for years, and some people hear, some people don't. I understand the TV product is the events, the 40-yard dash and everything, but isn't the combine more about the interviews and the medicals and these teams getting one-on-one with these players than the actual TV product?
Absolutely. That's huge. Medicals and interviews, psychological tests, all that stuff is great. You just can't have guys out there going through that. So you got to have them do something. So why not have them do drills, right? So that's how that came about. And it also gives you a chance to see how guys move up close, because scouts may not have seen. It's great for cross-checking, because I may have seen a guy throw the football live, but this scout may not have seen them, and we may differ on something. That's where you have to debate. And so it's a great event for that as well. But the interviews and the medicals are definitely what's most important.
Because to me, I feel like people don't understand. And, maybe I'm just some person who's in a studio by myself. But my perspective has always been, Emory, teams like, for example, the Eagles, they emphasize drafting people of character and a certain quality type. Ever since the post Chip Kelly thing, the Eagles have said, we don't want no riffraff. We want good quality people in here. That's why Dawkins was a mentor for a few years in the organization. Teams know that they can't afford to have a Deshaun Watson situation or whatever may happen in the world, because you're spending millions of dollars on these players. You're putting an investment of time and money and everything. You can't just sit there and be like, oh, well, he runs really fast. That's not enough.
Yeah, you also want talent, though. Let's keep it real. You want talent. You want dudes that can play. You can get a team full of Carson Wentz's, good guys, real humble, real good people. That's not going to win you games. You need dogs. You need guys that can win. You need players. You need talent. And if they happen to be great people, that's fantastic. But first and foremost, it's a talent business, and you better find dudes that can play. Otherwise, you're going to be, getting your butt kicked on Sunday, but they'll be great dudes, but you need talent first.
It's sad that the first person I thought of when you said that was Nakobe Dean, but yet I've got a feeling the Eagles won't draft him because he's a linebacker. But I mean, you're right. I mean, you got to have players. Speaking of a guy like Nakobe Dean, I want to ask you, what does he project to you at the next level? Because you and I had this conversation for the national championship game about how, what these guys can be. And now we're deeper into the process. People want to hear comps. And I know comps are hard to do because, for someone like you, you're seeing more than just a player comparison. But talk to the audience about who are some of the linebackers who are going to be available, like Nakobe Dean. What can they be?
Well, it's still early in the process. Again, I haven't even started to grade defensive prospects yet. So I don't even want to speak ignorantly about players I haven't seen. But I'll just say this about Dean. Dean is a smart kid. I think he was up for the William Campbell Trophy, which is the academic Heisman. So you have a smart player playing a leadership position that requires you to be smart and get the defense out and get everybody lined up properly and get everything going fluently. And he's also a heck of a football player. So he is the perfect backer for today's game. He can run, he can cover, he can blitz. He's smart. He's a leader. Nakobe Dean would be a day one impact player for Philly.
Emory, let's flip it over to the rest of the offseason, because obviously we have free agency coming up soon. I want to ask you about just the NFC East situation, because, the Cowboys, they got decisions to make. They got both Wilson and Gallup as free agents. The Eagles, they have 3 of their 4 starters all available in free agency. I don't think they're going to bring them all back, honestly. Washington, I refuse to call them by their current name. Honestly, I hate the Washington thing's ridiculous, but I'll put that aside. Washington needs to figure out their quarterback realistically. And then you have the Giants. Now is the time to find out, what's Joe Schoen made of with that GM situation.
Yeah, the good thing about the NFC East, it falls in lines with quarterback play. The Cowboys and Eagles are set at quarterback. They got the two best quarterbacks in the division, so they have the least amount of questions. So the biggest thing for the East is, like you said, who's going to play quarterback in Washington? Because Taylor Heineke, you've seen what that looks like over the last 2 seasons. It's someone that's just up and down and not really a NFL starter. He's more of like a young Ryan Fitzpatrick in that regard. Daniel Jones is a turnover waiting to happen. And so they don't have a quarterback, nor do they have a number 2 that they can count on to take Daniel Jones out the lineup to go to the backup. So both teams are far away from being where they need to be. And as long as the Cowboys and Eagles don't screw it up, they should finish 1-2 and fight for 1-2 in the division once again.
Should the Eagles try to go out there and try to snag Gallup or Wilson?
If Gallup becomes available, I think Gallup will fit perfectly with this Eagles offense. Eagles need a big physical receiver. They have far too many of the, slim, speedy guys. They need someone that can command attention. I know Gallup isn't that, 6'3", 235-pound, dog or nothing like that, but he's a very good receiver that doesn't mind going up and win some 50-50 balls. He's someone that is explosive. You hope he can regain that explosiveness coming off that ACL injury that he suffered in the game. So I think, that would be a good option. But I feel like someone in the draft like George Pickens would be perfect for Philadelphia.
So you feel like they should go wide receiver maybe in the draft instead of free agency?
Yeah, unless you have someone that's a solid veteran that can come in and be a little bit different than what you have. You don't want to go grab a guy that's coming off of a knee injury, and you don't know how he's going to respond. Adrian Peterson has ruined it for everybody, and how he was able to return. So everybody just expect everyone's ACL surgery to go that way. Look at Saquon Barkley. He didn't really get back into the groove until spurts during the season where he was able to trust that knee. So I would be hesitant going out and get the guy whose game relies on explosiveness coming off of a knee injury. So it's better to draft one young that you can groom within your system and go about it that way.
Emory, before I let you go, I feel like we've heard 100 speculations and rumors about the quarterbacks this offseason in the NFL. Obviously, putting Rodgers aside, because he'll make his decision whatever at some point. But there's a lot of other names that are potentially being moving around. Carson Wentz, potentially. Jimmy Garoppolo. We know that, Washington, they need a quarterback. Carolina needs a quarterback. Tampa, obviously. I don't believe that Blaine Gabbert's going to be their starter personally. But, what is your perspective on the quarterback scene right now? Because a lot of guys who are leaving the game like Big Ben and Tom Brady, and they got to fill those holes with somebody.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think the first domino that has to fall is the Deshaun Watson situation and how that works out from the legal perspective. Because once that gets shaken out, then the football side of things, he's the number one quarterback that people are going to go target. And so once that gets solved, I think everything else will fall into place because no one likes, names like Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo. They don't really get you out of your seat. You know what I'm saying? So those don't really move the needle. I think once the Watson decision happens, then you'll start to see some moving and shaking. That could be a guy that, Washington could end up with. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But I think that's the biggest domino that has to fall before anything of note really starts to happen.
Really quick before I let you go, I know the last question was the last question, but one more. I just thought of this. What is your perspective on this Kyler Murray stuff? Because, there's a lot of speculation about what is going on with him. And honestly, I just am wondering, is it just a maturity thing?
I don't deal in speculation. I deal in, facts. So, my new name is Just the Facts. So I'll just sit there and wait till if he shows up on game day, I'm taking a Mike Tomlin approach. If he shows up, he shows up. If he doesn't, and he says he's not showing up, then I know he's not showing up. But as far as like watching social media and trying to read tea leaves, like I don't have time for all that. And so I don't know how, folks in the media also, follows people's social media and try to read tea leaves. So he's still under contract. He's still a quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals until whatever week 1 is. If he doesn't show up and or until something happens as far as like a trade or or him being released, then I'll have my opinion. But until then, he's a starting quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals.
Fair enough. Emory Hunt, follow him on Twitter at FBall Game Plan. The football game plan. It's on YouTube, I should say. Great content over there. And of course, he's also on CBS Sports HQ. Emory, appreciate the time today.
Always, Josh. Thanks you again for bringing me on.
Josh Hennig here in the Matt Blatt Kia studios here on 97.3 ESPN. Great stuff from Emory there. We'll get back to the text board on the other side. 609-403-0973. And you can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Seattle City.
It's Flyers Capitals tomorrow with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action. Coverage begins at 12:30 on your home for Flyers hockey in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
With GMF financing excludes Corvette.
Now till the end of the month, Bennett Chevrolet is paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. No joke. That's $8,000 minimum for any rundown old piece of junk you can get to our lot. Don't let that clunker just sit around. Have it towed to Bennett and get at least $8,000 towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. But this is a special offer this month only. Got a good trade? Bring it in. Because if we're paying a minimum $8,000 for junk, imagine how much more Bennett will pay for a good quality trade. And we'll buy your vehicle even if you don't buy ours. Plus, you won't find Bennett selling new cars over factory window sticker like other dealers. And if you're stuck in a lease, we can get you out early. Every make and model. No obligation, no pressure. Because our non-commissioned sales staff is paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. Now till the end of the month, Bennett Chevrolet is paying a minimum $8,000 for any trade. Find new roads at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
I love my hardwood floors, but I wasn't sure how to take care of them. Carrying around a bucket was such a hassle. And even worse, my string mop left streaks and haze behind. Then I found Swiffer Wet Jet Wood, the all-in-one tool made specially for wood floors. Its microfiber-like pad is soft, and it sprays a light mist solution that dries fast. With Swiffer Wet Jet Wood, it's easy to keep up with the mess on my wood floors. Even that mess.
Swiffer Wet Jet Wood, proud member of the National Wood Floor Association.
Hi, Bobby.
Hey, Sarah. The usual?
This is the last time I'm coming here for coffee. I'm on a budget now.
1 sec. Cold brew for Blake?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sarah, don't give up what you love. State Farm has policy options to get you a surprisingly great rate.
Good. I need my iced oat milk latte with caramel and cinnamon on top.
Girl, me too. For surprisingly great rates, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
If you suspect you have mold in your home, water damage in your basement or crawl space, or a foundation problem, call Perfect Basement. If you're selling your home, address the problems before your buyer discovers them. Perfect Basement provides free, no-pressure inspections for waterproofing, mold remediation, and foundation repair. They're family-owned in South Jersey, licensed and certified, and accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Visit perfectbasement.com and check out their exclusive price guarantee and great reviews. That's perfectbasement.com.
This is important news. If you have unfiled tax returns, the IRS is shifting gears and ramping up investigations on non-filers this year. If you fail to file your tax returns for a year or more, or you owe back taxes, now's the time to call Optima Tax Relief before the IRS finds you. Optima is America's #1 most trusted tax resolution firm, specialized in helping individuals, families, and businesses get right with the IRS. They're experts in the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, a powerful new program that can make resolving tax issues easier. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, Optima's award-winning team has helped thousands of people protect their paychecks, bank accounts, homes, and businesses by putting their tax problems to rest, resolving over $1 billion in tax debts for their clients. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022. 800-709-7022.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
2021 is officially in the rearview mirror, and we are well into the winter of 2022. Hi, Tom McAllister from McAllister The Service Company. People often ask me what is the secret to the incredible success of the McAllister organization. The answer is simple. It's our core values of honesty, integrity, and our 100% satisfaction guarantee. For over 145 years, our clients call us not because we service or install a particular make or brand of equipment. They call us because they are trusting their home comfort to the experts at McAllister. So if you put off upgrading your air conditioning system last year, now is the perfect time to take advantage of discounts and rebates offered by the state and the utilities. Remember, after January 23rd, there are only 8 Saturdays left until spring. Talk to the experts at McAllister, 609-927-4122, or at mcservice.com for all your heating and air conditioning needs. McAllister cannot control the weather, but we can control your comfort.
Matt Blatt Kia has a solution to your New Year's resolution. Don't drive around in a car you hate. Trade it in for something great. If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, Matt Blatt Kia can get you released. Choose from the largest selection of certified pre-owned Kias. So why make a resolution you can't keep? Trade in your old Heat and drive away in a new Kia.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back here on Game Night. We'll get you the South Jersey High School Athlete of the Weekend just a bit, as we do each and every week. Fridays here on 97.3 ESPN. But first, we'll check in with the text board over at 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have Joey D over in Ventnor chimes in. Says, Josh, what are your expectations for Harden and the Sixers tonight? My expectation is that they win. I know that's pretty presumptive considering Minnesota is not a bad team. Minnesota is not some pushover team, between Karl Anthony Towns and D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards. They got a lot of talent out there. But for me, look, I think it's going to be a win for the Sixers tonight. I think that the addition of Harden is a serious game changer. I think that what people don't realize about Harden is that he wants to be here. To me, that's the biggest part of all this. Harden wants to be in Philadelphia. A player who wants to be somewhere is more likely to give you his best effort. I think the other thing I'm thinking of with Harden is I think he has a big game in terms of assists. I think Harden's going to be looking for his teammates a lot tonight. I think that we have seen Harden average double-double in the assist category this year. And because of that, I think Harden, the easiest thing for him to do on day one is not be the primary scorer. The easiest thing for him to do on day one is be a facilitator. That's why I was asking the question earlier. Who is the guy who handles the ball more tonight? Is it Maxey or is it Harden? When Maxey passes it to Harden, does Harden look to score? Does he look to get it to Embiid? Does he look to get it back to Tyrese? Does he bring the ball up court? Does Tim and Tyrese have a little, tandem game where they're kind of manipulating the perimeter, allowing Joel and Tobias and others to get more open? Is Danny Green basically just set up in the corner and just shoot threes all night long? My expectation is Harden's going to get assists tonight. My expectation is Harden, his way of getting into a rhythm with his teammates is going to be putting his teammates in a position to be successful. That's my instinct. My instinct is to say that because I've seen Harden do this before. When Harden went to join the Nets, when Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook joined him, he said, all right, how can I work with this guy? So there were times that Harden deferred a little bit, maybe too much, when he played with new players. That's his history. That's his background. So, from my experience with Harden, I just have a feeling that that's how it's going to go. He's been extremely complimentary of the guys since he joined. I have to think that that's more than just him trying to make everybody happy. There's a part of me that thinks that a lot of this has to do with Harden saying, look, I wanted to be here. Now I got to show that I want to be here. I got to prove to everybody that this is where I want to be. And if I said I wanted to be here, then it's my job to go out there and perform in a way that shows that. And what's the easiest way for him to show that to everyone? Well, the easiest way to do that is to go out there and say, all right, guys, I'm here to be a part of the team. I'm not here to take over the team. And when you look at James Harden's history, his first game in Brooklyn, he finished the game with 14 assists and 12 rebounds. That's a triple-double that night. It was ridiculous. His first game when him and Chris Paul got together, he went out there and had 11 assists. So typically when Harden plays with new guys for the first time, he defers a bit. That's my expectation for tonight. Joey D, thanks for chiming into the show. All right, as always, this time of night, we give you the South Jersey High School Athlete of the Week. Each week, we honor and nominate different athletes from around South Jersey who have performed well in recent weeks for the work they have done on the field, on the court, in the swimming pool, on the mats, wherever they're performing. This week's nominees were Pat Armstrong of Ocean City High School. The junior won the 50 freestyle and swam the first leg of both successful freestyle relay teams, including the 400 relay team that won the South Jersey Championship for the Raiders, their first win in the sport in 60 years. Cohen Cook, he has been a huge part of Mainland's run to the Cape Atlantic League Finals. In the first round upset over Egg Harbor Township, he scored 24 points, including 7 in the fourth quarter, leading the Mustangs to the upset win over EHT. Reese Downey, the freshman, made 6 3-pointers, scored 22 points to lead the Braves of Absegami to an upset over Ocean City in the first round of the Cape Atlantic League Tournament. Ken Sherman of Holy Spirit, the senior, stretched his winning streak on the mat to 14 straight at 144 pounds with a pair of wins that won him the District 31 championship. Olivia Wainwright, a Mainland freshman swimmer, won 2 events, 50 freestyle, 100 butterfly, as Mustangs of Mainland got past Cherry Hill West for the South Jersey championship. And then Jalen Wright of Millville High School, the senior, stretched his winning streak on the wrestling mat to 23 straight by winning the District 31 title at 285 pounds. And your winner of the South Jersey High School Athlete of the Week is Pat Armstrong of Ocean City. He finishes with 49.6% of the vote. Very impressive turnout in the voting. It was a close race all week between Pat and Cohen Cook of Mainland, but in the end, the Ocean City swimmer walks away with the voting victory. Of course, you can check each week over at 973ESPN.com and the 973 ESPN mobile app to vote each week for each week's South Jersey High School Athlete of the Week. So thanks everybody who voted. Make sure you check back each week to vote as we are getting deeper into the basketball playoffs, wrestling, swimming's wrapping up. So it's going to be an interesting time of year for a lot of these athletes in our area. Of course, the Cape Atlantic League Championship is tomorrow. So after that will be the NJSIA playoffs for basketball. So a lot of great sports going on in the high school area. And of course, we will have it all covered over at 973ESPN.com and the 973 ESPN mobile app. A little breaking news that came in. Adam Schefter tweeted out that Sean McVay has told ESPN that he is not pursuing any television opportunities. He is committed to helping the Rams defend their title. And I got to say, this was always the outcome I assumed was going to happen. To me, McVay has been a lifer when it comes to football. He's coached in the league for over a decade. He's someone who comes from a football family. I always felt that McVay was a guy who, when push came to shove, he wants to set a legacy in football. You know, when John Madden walked away from football, he had a Hall of Fame coaching resume. I think McVay realizes that his resume, his story is not complete. I generally do believe him that he does want to leave at some point. You know, he does a podcast with Peter Schrager. You know, he obviously is already trying to pave a way for himself to get into a post-football world of media, but I just tend to believe that McVay is a guy who he wants to finish the football business before he goes to the other stuff. All right, don't forget Sixers basketball. James Harden's debut tonight at 8 p.m. here on 97.3 ESPN. And then, of course, we'll be talking about in the locker room with Billy Schweim tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Saturday morning in the locker room with Billy Schweim, former Eagles linebacker Brad Quasti will tap into all the excitement to the start of the James Harden era with the Sixers. We will react to Friday night's Sixers-Timberwolves game. The sportsbook consigliere Dave Sharapan checks in from Las Vegas with his big plays for the weekend. Your text messages and more. It's the locker room with Billy Schweim, Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app.